Hi and welcome to FreeEduHub. Today we'll learn how can we install WordPress. WordPress is a free open source content management system written in PHP language. So you can use it for your own business if you want to have a news website or if you want to sell certain items on your website. That's the tool that you must have. Now we'll try to learn how can we install it on Windows Server 2022. Earlier it was a bit easy to configure it on Windows Server 2022 using Web Platform Installer, but as you can see that Microsoft Web Platform Installer was retired on December 31st 2022, so we cannot use this one anymore. So I'll guide you step by step how can you set it up on your own website. So we'll configure a web server on Windows Server 2022, and using that web server you'll be able to install any PHP application, let it be Joomla, Drupal, WordPress, Moodle, or any other content management system which is running on PHP. So in order to set it up we need to install a couple of things, but let me show you my server. This is server 2022 which is running on a virtual environment, and as you can see I'm using the data center edition of Windows Server 2022. And further, if you go to the server manager, you can see that there is no IIS installed over here. We'll be installing it shortly, but first let's see the tools that you need in order to get your WordPress up and running. So first of all, you might need MySQL server. Make sure you are downloading the MSI installer of it. It is showing 32-bit of it, but once we'll download it and we'll install it, it would show us the 64-bit version of it. Click on download and download the file. It would ask you to sign up, but there is an option to bypass that as well, so you can download it. Second thing is you'll have to download PHP, and in order to download PHP, go to php.net and then click on downloads. In downloads you'll be able to see it over here, but if this thing is not there and you are accessing php.net directly, you can go to the website, click on download, and it would take you to this page. Click on this Windows download button, it would take you to the same page. Make sure you're downloading the non-thread safe version of it and download the zip version of it. That's the second thing. Third thing is, that's optional. If you want to install phpMyAdmin, that's a tool through which you can access your MySQL database through the web-based interface. There are two ways to access your MySQL database. One is through MySQL Workbench, which we'll be installing, but you'll be able to manage your MySQL database on the same server. But if you want to manage your server remotely, you'll install phpMyAdmin, but that's optional. If you want to install it, otherwise you can ignore it as well. Third thing is that, fourth thing is that we'll be installing Microsoft Visual C++, which is a redistributable latest version, and that is required in order to run certain applications. So we'll be downloading this 64-bit version of it. And the last thing is URL redirect, which helps us in enabling the web administration to create powerful rules and other things. So first application is this one, second one is this one, third one is safe, fourth one and fifth one. So we'll be going in the same process, or we'll be following the same process. Now, as you know that in order to run any application on the computer, or to run any web-based application, you need to install a web server on your on Windows Server 2022. So in order to install the web server on your server 2022, you'll click start and click on server manager. Once you are here on server manager, you'll have to click on manage and click on add roles and features. Press next. No need to change anything over here. Press next and scroll it down. You'll be able to see web server over here. Click add feature and press next. No need to change anything over here. Keep everything as it is. Press next and then press next. Here we need to add a couple of things. So first of all, we'll add custom logging and logging tools. Then we'll scroll down and we'll try to find the application development. Click on this one. I want to configure my web server for ASP.NET 4.8, and I'll select CGI over here as well. And further, if we'll drag down, I'll click on this one and these two tools over here. Once that's done, press next and click install. So it would install IIS on your server. You don't need to make any modifications at the moment. It would take some time. Once it's installed, we'll proceed from here. Now as you can see, it's showing a message, installation succeeded on server. We'll press close, and if you click on this notification icon, it's also showing that it's successful. If you'll click on tools, you'll be able to see IIS manager over here, and it is now listed here as well. Now in order to manage your web server, you'll click on this one. It would open an interface through which you can see the settings of your IIS. Now in order to check it that whether it is successfully installed or not, you'll type in HTTP and localhost and press enter. It should show you the screen. It means that IIS, which is Internet Information Services, has been successfully installed. Further, if you'll go to your C directory and go to inetpub, you'll be able to see www root means that it is installed. Now to make it easier, in order to access IIS, we'll go to control panel, administrative tools, and we can see IIS over here also. We'll right click on it and create a desktop shortcut so that if we want to manage it in future, we can directly open it from here. That was step number 1. Now let's go to step number 2. On step number 2, we'll be installing MySQL Server, which is an open source database which we'll be using in order to install WordPress, because all things related to our WordPress would be saved in this database. So we'll have to configure it a little bit just to make sure that it works comfortably with Press as well. Now here you can see that there are different options in this one. If you want to read it, the description is appearing on right hand side for server only, client, full, or custom setup. So we'll be going for custom setup. Press next, and here we'll select the things only which are required. So if I want to install MySQL Server, I'll click on it and then press on the screen button to move it over here, because the things which would be listed over here will be installed only. Then we want to install the application here, which is MySQL Workbench as well. As I told you that MySQL Workbench is used in order to manage the MySQL server from this server. We'll press next. It would show you that it's ready for install. Press execute. It would take few seconds to install. Once it's done, it would ask us to configure it, and then we'll configure it so that we can comfortably use it with WordPress. As you can see, it's almost complete. Once that's done, press next, and ready to configure. Press next. Note down the port number, so it would be communicating through port 3306. Press next. No need to change anything over here, and here we'll create a difficult password for our root account. So that's the root account. Just to be on the safer side, I'm adding another account over here, so that if our root account doesn't work, we have another account which we can use in order to access our MySQL database. Now press OK. Now that account is created. Press next. It's just telling you that the service name would be MySQL 80. Press next. No need to change anything. Execute, and it would configure everything. As you can see, it's done. Press finish, and it's showing that configuration is complete. Press finish and press finish. So now it would open MySQL Workbench through which you can access your database. Now that's the local instance of it, and root is the default username. Now you'll type in the password that you selected at the time of installation. If you want, you can save and press OK. Now it would open the basic interface of MySQL Workbench. If you want to see the status of your server, you'll click on this one. If you want to see the client connections, it's shown up here. User accounts and privileges, so these are the accounts which are there. We created admin, so it's there, and root account is the default one, is also there. If you want to export the data to a different table, you can see it over here that we have only one table, which is sys. And if you want to import, you can import it from here, and further if you want to shut down and other things, the options are there. Now since we are installing it for WordPress, so we'll have to create a database over here of WordPress which we can use later. So in order to create the database of WordPress, we'll click on this icon over here. So it would ask you what should be the name of it. You can type it as WordPress and then apply. So it's asking for the algorithm and doc type, keep it as default, and as you can see, it is now created. Now in order to check it, for example, if we want to click on data export and we refresh it, now we can see WordPress over here. It means that now WordPress database is over here. But in order to configure it first, we need to assign certain permissions to this database as well. That root user must have full access to WordPress database. Now if you'll scroll this thing to the right hand side, you'll see more options up here. Click on account limits, go to administrative rules. It has all the access, that's fine. Schema privileges. Now here you cannot see WordPress because we haven't granted the access on WordPress database to the root user. So in order to add WordPress over here, we'll click add entry and we'll select from the list in the selected schema, and we'll select WordPress from here, press OK, and now we'll have to select all these options so that this account root shall have full access on WordPress. So for that we'll select all and we'll press apply. Now this account has been given permission, which is a root account, now has full access on the schema, which is WordPress. That's it as far as your MySQL is concerned. That's all we need to configure. Now we'll have to install PHP on this computer. Now if you remember, this is our step number 3, and in order to install PHP on the computer, we downloaded this version of PHP. So we'll copy it from here to the C directory of the computer and we'll paste it over here. Now just for the sake of understanding, or it would be easier for us if we'll name it as PHP. Now we'll have to tell our Windows server that what's the location of PHP. So for that we'll go to settings and then we'll go to the system, click on about, go to advanced system settings, click on environment variables, and then click on path and edit it. Now we need to add a new thing over here which we'll call C, and then we'll give a path of our PHP, press OK, and OK. So now we have configured the PHP for Windows Server 2022. Now we'll try to modify certain configurations on PHP. So first of all, you'll go to the directory on your C drive and you'll see php.ini-production. Now that's for the default setup. We need to make certain changes on our php.ini file. So I renamed it as php.ini, press OK. And now in order to edit this one, I'm using a tool called Edit with Notepad++. It's really easy to use and a free software. If you want, you can install it. Now we'll be making certain changes to the configuration file of PHP. So the files that you need to change shall be these. So information in the description, so you can simply copy and paste it from here. So we'll find the first one, go to Notepad++, Control F, paste in this one and find next, and find the exact one where it says cgi.force. So cgi.force is still not here, and here you go, you can find it CGI over here. So uncomment it and make sure you're changing it 0 as shown here. The second one is we'll have to find cgi.fix path. So we'll paste it over here and we'll press find next and find next. So here it is and it is equal to 1. That's fine. So we'll uncomment it. Then we'll find the next one, which is fast CGI, and then we'll click it on this one, and here you go, it's over here. So these two files are together, so we'll uncomment both of them. Then we'll go to fast CGI logging and we'll copy it from here, paste it, find it, that's done. Then we'll find the extension of it and find the extension. Here it is. So we'll uncomment this one also, and then we'll try to find the last one, which is here. Once that's done, we can close this file, we can close it also, save the file and close it. So that was about installing or setting up your PHP. Now our step number 4 shall be to install Visual C++. So we'll click on this one. It's a very fast process, so we'll simply install it. It's just required to run certain things on your server which is related to PHP. Press OK, and then finally, which is step number 5, we'll be installing our URL redirect and press install. Once that's configured, now we'll try to install, or we try to configure our IIS so that it can comfortably run PHP applications. As you can see, this is the default interface of our IIS, which is running on Windows Server 2022. Now we'll be configuring fast CGI. You can see it over here, but if you'll double click on it, you can see nothing over here since it's not added as yet. So to add it, we'll have to add it through handler mappings. So double click on this one. So in order to add it, click on this one, add managed handler or add module mapping. Click on this one, then type in the path. For example, we'll type in request path as star.php, and then we'll select the module as fast CGI module listed over here. Then we'll give the path of our CGI, which is in our C directory in the PHP folder, and you'll change it to .exe, and we'll select CGI from here, and then you can give it a name, for example PHP, and then underscore, or no need for underscore, just write fast CGI. And then make sure on request restrictions, click on this one and select file or folder, press OK, and press yes. Now you can see fast CGI is listed over here. Now if you'll go again to your web server, and if you'll click on fast CGI settings, you'll be able to see it listed over here. The other thing that we would like to change is that we'll go to our server and we'll change the default documents. We'll add PHP since you cannot see PHP over here. So we'll add default.php, default.php, and we'll add index.php over here. And then we can move and up the files by clicking on these arrows, but it's fine, we have index and PHP over here. Now before I forget, let's add the fast CGI settings over here. So in order to make the changes to this one, open it, and then we'll have to go to environment variables, and we'll select on this one, and we'll add, and we'll name it as PHP fast CGI and max requests, and I want to keep it as 100,000. Press OK and press OK. Next we need to add the application pool. As you can see, it's not listed over here, so we'll add an application pool and we'll name it as WordPress. No need to change anything over here, everything would remain as it is. Press OK, and as you can see, it's added over here. So in order to configure it, we'll right click on it, set application pool defaults, and we'll select the pool identity as a custom account. We'll set it and we'll type in as administrator, and then we'll give the password of it. Now once that's done, we'll press OK and press OK. So now that's configured. Now once that's done, click on your website over here and click on basic settings. Select the website from here as the WordPress, press OK and test the settings. Both of them shall be green. It means that it is successfully configured. Now once that's done, we'll close this thing and we'll go to our step number 6, which is copying the WordPress which we downloaded earlier. So we'll copy it from here and we'll post it on our C drive, inetpub, www root, and paste it over here. Once that's done, just rename it to WordPress, and you can find the files in this one, but I don't want that. I want them to be at the root, so I'll paste it over here and delete this folder. So now I have all the files over here. So now we need to configure our WordPress over here as well. So you have a file as web or WP WordPress configuration file. We'll remove the sample from here and we'll try to edit this one with Notepad++. And here, as you can see, it's asking you for the database name, database user, and the password. So we'll provide those details. As you remember, we named the database as WordPress. Then we provided the name over here of the user as root. And then you'll provide the password over here and save and close the file. So we have saved the file. Now we'll go to WP admin and we'll have to call this file, which is install.php. So for that, we'll open our browser and we'll type in the address, which is http localhost and then WordPress, and then we'll type in WP admin and install.php. And as you can see, it has loaded the WordPress installation main page. You'll type in the name as my first website and then choose a username. For example, if we are having a username as user, and have a password, or change the password over here. Now it's up to you. If you want to have a email address over here, we'll put an email address over here, and then discourage search engines. I don't want to check that one, and press install. So now it would start installing your WordPress on your server. As you can see, it's showing that it is successfully installed, and now you can access your WordPress. Press login and it's asking you for the username, so we named it as user, and the password that we provided. And this is our main interface of WordPress. Now you can configure it for your own interest, like what you want to add on it. Now if you want, you can configure it as per your own choice. And that was our tutorial on how can we configure Windows Server 2022 using the tools that we have mentioned manually. And you can install any application which is content management system for Joomla, Drupal, WordPress on your Server 2022. That's it for today. Thank you very much.